Hi, my name is Dr. Casey Bass, and I'm in the Animal and Food Science Department. And I currently lead the program that's focused on Iceland and Norway. So this program really focuses on not only just, and I want to point out that it's really two countries, both Iceland and Norway, but we also focus heavily on culture, environmental science, and also agriculture when it comes to those two countries. And they're very different between the two countries, but we really do focus on all of those aspects. And I think it's important to point out to students that you don't necessarily have to be a student that's taking courses on environmental science or taking courses in the agricultural, department. We have had students that participate from all different departments and really enjoyed the course. So the course itself is ANSC 389, which is a special topics course, I think is what it's called. And in the course, as I mentioned before, it's really focused on the culture, environmental science, and agricultural industries, both for Iceland and Norway. It's open to all students from freshmen to seniors, all majors, minors, that doesn't matter. Just anyone that's interested in participating in the course and interested in traveling abroad. As far as the course, it really takes place over the entire semester. So prior to going overseas, we spend time as a class learning about the two countries and doing a lot of comparing both similarities and differences between the two countries and the US. For example, one of the things we talk about, more focused on the environmental science side, is how Iceland heats their homes and their businesses versus the US. They're very, very different. And so it's not that one's right or one's wrong, but just focusing on these things of how countries can be different and what can be learned from that. And so we meet throughout the semester for several times, over several weeks, and have these conversations as a class. And typically students work in teams to help each other build presentations that they're giving to the rest of the class on certain things, certain topics that they're focusing on that week. And then whenever we go overseas, teams still work together because they've been working together throughout the semester, and getting to know each other and getting comfortable with each other. And then when we travel abroad, those teams work together again to kind of remind us before we maybe go to a farm or a museum or to a site, remind us again what their presentation was about, just the basic information on this is what you're going to learn, this is how we're similar, this is how we're different, and to really focus on embracing those things. So a normal day overseas, typically we stay in hostels. And I will be honest, I thought a hostel was going to be a very cramped space with a lot of people in one room, maybe staying in bunk beds, like a lot of bunk beds in a room. And that's not the case for any of the hostels that we stay in. And we, meaning the instructors, would actually stay in the hostels as well. So there are typically 2 to 4 students in a hostel room. Breakfasts are typically something that we do as a group there at the hostel. Lunches are oftentimes independent, so you can, go do things alone if you're comfortable with that. You can stick with your team, you can stick with a group. It's whatever students are comfortable and interested in doing. And then dinners are oftentimes spent together as an entire class, us coming back together and focusing on what did you do today, what did we see, what were conversations that we had, and the overseas travel itself is really a balance of us being together and again having those conversations as a class and making sure students are comfortable, but also students getting the opportunity to branch out and maybe get just a little uncomfortable and go do things independently. That's part of the the wonderful thing about traveling abroad is you typically haven't been to those places. You're not necessarily always going to understand the language or the culture or how stores work or transportation systems, and that's okay. Part of that travel means you going out and figuring those out, figuring those things out, and enjoying that process. And I think both Iceland and Norway are great for students because for the most part, when we travel around, individuals can speak English as a second language. So it does make it a little easier for students to get around. And I think that's kind of a comfort blanket to them, that they can go to, they can speak to whoever they need to, whether it be, like I said, a transportation system or in a store, a restaurant, and then they can fall back on their English. And I think as well, both of these countries have phenomenal transportation systems, museums, everything that's geared towards students are very open and welcoming and safe. In Iceland, we travel to Reykjavik, which is the capital of Iceland, and we spend a significant amount of time there in the city, going to some different museums that are talking about, for example, how Iceland was first formed and how it really is the land of fire and ice. There are volcanoes to glaciers that are there, and so we really do focus on how that country came about, literally how it was formed, and how that impacts their environment and the management decisions they make. And then we also spent some time outside of Reykjavik, going to some different farms, both animal as well as vegetable farms. And then we travel from Reykjavik to Oslo, which is the capital of Norway, and we spend some time there learning about their government. We go to the palace there in Oslo. We also go to the royal farm. Again, it's a farm that's really there in the city, and it's there as an educational resource for individuals who are raised in a large city and they really don't know where their food is coming from. So it's a connection for them. We go from Oslo, we go to Oda, which is kind of in the center and southern portion of Norway. It's an area that has a lot of fjords around it. So these both simultaneously these mountains and also waterways. And we learn about how, again, Norway generates some of their energy using these fjords. And then we travel to Bergen, which is on the west coast of Norway. And there, because it's on the coast, it is heavily built on and focused around fishing. And so we go to the fish market. Again, more museums, farms. Again, there's a heavy focus on the culture, environmental science, and also agriculture. So we do a lot of things in those countries that focus on those three topics. But a lot of indoor work. As far as transportation, students fly, are on ferries, buses, and trains, all in like a 2-week span. One of the things I think is important when you travel is at least being able to say hello, right? Like at least being able to know just the word for hello. So as I mentioned before, both in Iceland and Norway, the majority of individuals speak English as a second language, and they speak English really, really well. It's phenomenal. It really is. And I'll also quickly mention that for me, both the Icelandic language and Norwegian language are very difficult. And so when I was first interested in these two countries, I quickly learned how to say hello. And if a student were just to say hello, everyone would understand that. In Norwegian, it really sounds more like hallo, hello. So almost like our word hallo. And then they also in both countries, you could very easily just say hey or hi, something that's a little more informal. In Iceland, from from being there, I think it's appreciated to be a little bit more formal. And so I know how to say good day, which is Golendog. Golendog. And it literally translates to good day. So of course, students could just say hello and everyone would understand, but you could also say Golendog and sound slightly, maybe a little bit Icelandic. As far as food goes, the food is phenomenal. Both countries, like I said, heavily rely on a fishing industry. And so things like, seafood and soups, a lot of really amazing breads, cheeses. So a lot of phenomenal food. I can guarantee that at some point when you travel abroad, you're going to be uncomfortable. That's part of traveling abroad. You're in a new country that has a new history and new culture and new interactions that are considered normal and abnormal for them. Different governments, things are different, and part of our comfort is doing things that are similar and things that we're used to. So I can guarantee you at some point you will be uncomfortable when you travel abroad. That's also the really, really amazing thing that allows us to grow and challenge ourselves and also be comfortable and learn who we are. And I think that should be embraced no matter where you go, whether you go to, to Africa or Asia or Europe or South America, no matter where you go. I think part of that travel is learning to be comfortable in an uncomfortable situation or an uncomfortable place. And I think one of the phenomenal things about traveling with UWRF through one of these programs is that you are traveling as a group. You're traveling with a class. So you have professors who have been to those countries and can help you and can answer basic questions. And then we also challenge you to go do things, like I said, in our course with a team, so you've got a buddy, but to go learn how to use their transportation system, or to go to a grocery store and shop, to do those things that really allow you to immerse yourself in that country. So it's a great opportunity, and I highly suggest students take advantage of it while they're a Falcon.